All right. Good evening, folks. My first use of the gavel here. Welcome to the June 13th, 2016 regular meeting of the Board of Selectmen, and we're opening at 6:04. So please stand with me and make the pledge to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everybody. As folks may know, Adam is not here. He has some vacation time with his son in Cooperstown, a great place and great age, so I know he's having fun in that venue. The first item, holding the pledge, is to approve the minutes of workshop of May 16th and the business meeting of May 23rd and the executive session of May 23rd.
So moved.
Any comments, questions?
I have a question, John. The executive session minutes, do we ever approve those in executive session?
I don't recall.
We approved them.
Here.
We approved them here.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
They don't always come out as quickly as these
Uh,
have, on May 23rd. Were there any corrections on any of them?
no,
I would just like to point out two minor items, starting with May 23rd, the business meeting. Brenda, just for clarification, on a section, board member, staff and comments on the first page, I'll yield to Gary, but I think it was a team of engineers who gave the analysis.
There was.
Okay, if we could just change that from architects to engineers, just so we
Okay.
don't think folks are getting ahead of ourselves.
Okay,
Just want to add that.
will do.
Make that change, and the other, and I think we could approve the minutes with these corrections, and the other one was on the executive meeting, committee meeting, and instead of the Ag Association replied with an offer, they're under discussion of real estate, it would really accurately be the Spencer Fair Association. Is it Spencer Agricultural Association,
I
or
think it is.
is it
Right.
just an official name there? Okay.
This one.
Just hold it, bring it back.
Okay, good, so would you modify?
Yes, with the correction, my motion's with the corrections.
Okay, and you'll withhold a motion to authorize the executive committee?
Question, we want clarification on
Okay,
that, so.
all right. Okay,
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Citizen input, we have our loyal citizens. Your name and address, please, next week.
Bob Server, 23 Summit Street. I've been a little dismayed lately about what I'm seeing going on in town. Heroin abuse is up, we're number one. I haven't heard anybody putting a plan forward. Tony, I know you're the liaison with the police department. Do we have a chief that's even active, or is he just, I'm hearing he's sick, then he's in Australia, so I'm kind of curious. It's like,
Well, through the chair, the chief is back, he's back from his medical leave, and we're going to have a public hearing soon on the issue. Please make a presentation, a public hearing on the drug issue, and clarify comments that were made earlier about the opioid, explain those statistics. And so we are working on, there'll be a public hearing on it, so.
I'm just curious because I keep hearing that Chief Darren's going to be possibly running another term. I mean, for my money, we need a strong chief. We need a chief that's present. We need a chief that's out there in the community. We don't have that right now. You see Chief Darren at the Memorial Day Parade and at the town hall meetings. That's it. I know people have been calling in because there's been drug issues in town, in Chestnut Street, in the parking lot of St. Mary's are dealing drugs. Nobody's showing up. And I've been hearing this continuously. We know there's drug houses in town, everybody knows it, what's being done about it. And I know we've got a good police force, but we need a strong chief in that position. And that's the first, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
That's the first thing that disturbs me more than anything. We're bleeding kids out of the school. You know, where we lost, you know, do you know how many houses have been sold in the last 2 years? Over 500 homes in this district have been sold. 500, there's 230 still to be sold, and there's 23 foreclosures right now. That's another alarming statistic. Hopefully the schools are gonna settle down. I see Martha and Mr. Moneta here, so hopefully this whole situation with the schools is gonna settle down. Let's wait and see. Let's give them a chance. The other thing that's dismaying me is the fact that with all this stuff going on, we're crushing on businesses now. Problem is, we're under 10,000 people for the first time since the 80s. Under 10,000. People aren't, they're not going far away. They're not going to Dakota or Texas. They're only going to Leicester. They're going to the surrounding communities. They're all picking up our people. That's another thing that's bothering me. The fact that the town now, Mr. Gaudet, and I'm sorry he's not here because that's specifically why I came. I try not to come to these meetings anymore. Mr. Gaudet apparently was yucking it up with another employee of the staff about how they were going to put it to Bruce DeRozier guaranteed fitness and flex time. Now, Bruce DeRozier was told he was going to be getting a $400,000 increase in his property tax. He's already paying $900,000. We're talking $1.3 million. FlexCon was looking at $1 million. Mr. Gaudet, when asked by Mr. Woodbury about it, he just wanted to know who told him that.
Well, let me interrupt at this point. For one thing, you know, there have been no formal tax bills sent out.
I understand.
Okay? And I don't want to see citizen input, you know, raising individual issues.
So you want to put on the agenda? I mean, I can do that, that's
Well,
fine.
you've raised several points. I think the first one is something that we've, that was one of the first items I raised with Adam after I was voted to head the select board. My concern was, you know, what is at this point, the town isn't exactly sure what we're doing to deal with the opioid crisis and drugs. And so, and we talked about a meeting and to probably something that possibly executive session, just because there's some things that can't be shared in terms of
I understand.
you know, but we will, that is really tops on the list. We're heading a time of year when things typically slow down. You know, our agendas are shorter, but it doesn't mean that we're now working on some of these bigger issues. And there's a lot of negativity out there. You know, that's one of the things I know has brought, you know, Martha and Jason here today. So that's a multifaceted problem, which, you know, lots of issues for us to address there. But and as far as you know, what the town is, what the perception is of the town is, favorability to businesses. Now, we can talk in general about that, but I don't want to get into individuals or rumors.
Well, unfortunately, John, that's the problem with that is we got a business owner who's running the only health club in this town. Okay, he's promoting health and welfare and fitness. They run a karate studio up there. They run an archery center up there, and there's been a systematic harassment of this business since 2008. I mean, his paperwork has come up missing. All of a sudden, he has no paperwork, no schematics, no blueprints. He comes down and confronts people at the tax assessor's office, only to be told one story. Comes down a week later with me to be told another story. It's like, we should be worried about keeping businesses in town, John.
We
Not-
are, but.
No, we're not, John. That's the problem. We're not doing that, John.
Well, you haven't attended our.
No, I haven't attended the meetings. I didn't want to attend tonight, but I wanted to attend it because I'm getting very dismayed at the fact that people are being notified. Mr. Pepe has yet to return a phone call to Mr. DeRozier. Mr. Woodbury has spoken to him several times, and I understand Dr. Hicks has spoken to him recently.
I had a couple of conversations.
And I also understand Adam said that he wasn't gonna meet with Mr. DeRozier or the selectmen. So my question to you gentlemen is, who's working for who here? I'm very concerned about that, and whether or not you want it brought up or not, John, this is citizen input. Now, I'm not hanging anybody out to dry, but I'm tired of the fact that this town can't get out of its own way.
We do have, when it comes to issues like that, we do have a process, and I believe that's what.
So what's the process, John? Can
Well,
you start?
there's a process laid out with the Board of Assessors when there's a problem with an assessed value, whether it's description of the property or the way, whatever the issue might be, that doesn't come before this board. You know, we don't get
I
involved in
understand.
Board of Assessors.
My question is, John, to you, why should this come he's gonna have to now hire an attorney to go to court. And he's already had a problem with this individual in the tax assessor's office in East Brookfield, when they were a tax assessor in East Brookfield, and he ended up losing a year's worth of abatement, because the way it used to be was, you went to court, and any money you put into that, prior to that, you lost for that year. Now you can file and you can possibly get it back, but the problem is, why would we put a business in this situation, John?
We do not.
Because I know you are aware of what's going on, because I know Mr. DeRosa has spoken
And,
to
and,
you also.
and I went and I talked to the Board of Assessors just to learn more about the process. And
So the process is, we're basically we're gonna hang somebody out to dry based on allegations and, oh, that parking lot wasn't there, that wasn't there. We've had affidavits from Ann Goby, from Dr. Hicks, from Gary Woodbury,
again,
from
those
Dickey's.
descriptions of property can be, those can be,
John, it's not that
Appeal.
complicated. It's not that complicated.
Gary?
Through the chair, Bobby, we get it, but there is a conversation going on that I'm not gonna talk about tonight, but we've had conversations. It's not gonna be a solved here, I understand, and we talked,
I just want to be on record that this is going on in this town, this needs to stop.
And I think he did, Bobby.
All right, that's fair.
It's just, it's not gonna go anywhere here tonight.
Oh, I didn't expect it to,
appreciate
Gary.
your
I really
concerns,
did.
as
I
you
did.
know, but it's just not gonna get us anywhere tonight.
Well, it needs to be made public, and that was the point.
Mr. Chairman, just a couple of things. I have spoken to Bruce DeRosa, I've known him since he was a child. One correction, it's not a $400,000 tax increase. It's, from what Bruce told me, a $400,000 increase in his valuation.
Right,
Which
based
will
on, right.
And then you take it from
Sorry,
there.
that was my problem.
So just to clarify that, but I've talked to Bruce, had a conversation with one of the assessors Saturday night up at the Holy Rosary Bazaar, and I've got to call Bruce about that. I was tied up today, and I am pursuing it. I told Bruce I will go to his hearing with him if he wants me
No,
to
he
go with him.
did say that. He did.
I'm very concerned, I'm not, let me put it this way, I don't want to get too much detail because that's not our job, number one, and number two, Bruce isn't even here, so, but just, you know, all I'm gonna say to you, Bob, is I have concerns. And I'm gonna follow through on those concerns,
I
okay?
appreciate that.
As far as your opiate stuff goes, I had a sidebar with Mr. Stevens just before the meeting, we talked about it. My wife's going out the door and for me, and I don't wanna be quoted here. So the Facebook, on Facebook, there was another opiate overdose in town on Church Street today, and the ME was there. So if the ME was there, you know what that means. So I've been concerned about this since before I got elected. It's one of the things I have talked to Adam about. I've talked to Mike Befford about it. We need to step up our efforts in that area. There's no question about it. You're straight on that. And I forget what else you said, but I'm concerned as you are with those same issues, Bob.
I
Those
know
same
you are.
issues.
I know that.
And
I know you are. I know you
I'm
all
concerned
are.
about the exodus from town. I said, I talked to Adam about that. And I talked to the town clerk, I said, is this for real? We've lost this many people over the past few years. We should be going the other way, not going down. And one of the things I want to talk to Adam about is if there's any way we can do an exit interview with people when they sell their homes. I realize we don't have time to talk to them, but maybe there's a questionnaire we can send out to them. And even if we get 25 or 30% back, which is good when you send questionnaires out, given the numbers you just stated, it'll give us a pretty good idea of why they're leaving. And then we can try to address those issues. That's my solution to that one problem, to try to get to the bottom of it. Once we know exactly why they're leaving, I think I know why, but I'm not a seer. I can't look in a crystal ball and
I
tell
think
you.
there's a multitude of reasons.
And I want to know exactly what they all are, and then we as a board, all right, and if need be, other boards can deal with that and try to make this town back the way it was. I've lived here most of my life. I've always been proud to live in Spencer. Lately, I hang my head a little bit here and there for different things that go on, including the condition of the roads that the voters finally have the good sense to do something about. So I'm right on target with those three things. I agree with you, Bob. We've got to look into it.
I'm just concerned about a manager that won't be with a business owner for whatever reason, especially given past history.
And just a last follow-up to the chair.
Sure.
Because everything you said, Bob, is everything that we're talking about as a board.
Now, as a citizen, I'm concerned,
So, and you should be.
you know?
Anytime you lose anybody, whether it's a drug problem or whatever, or you lose somebody moving out, it's a concern to this board. So we are following it. I think we've had conversation, we know where I stand. But thank you.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen.
Have a good night, Bob.
Bob, before you leave, just say, I would encourage you, since you say seem to have concerns about, pardon me? Well, yes, since you had some concerns about, how we're treating businesses and all, I would really welcome you to come to one of our Economic Development Committee meetings. We've been having them on Saturday mornings, we're gonna be changing that schedule, but the
Saturday
publicly
morning's
posted.
working.
Yeah, I understand, but the agenda, the minutes are also available. We approved a bunch at the last meeting, but it takes, a lot goes into turning around an image which has been building of
Oh, I
a
understand.
perception that's been with us for a while. And it's got many sides to it. And just finally, what I would say in regard to, in reference to one particular business, where this board gets involved is in the area of setting policy and direction. And we have to be careful that we don't, get down into the daily operations and the workings of boards. We can express our concern, and we have opportunities to talk with with the town manager about the direction. But there is a process to follow. I know in the case of business owner, he knows the process very well. We can.
I understand, I hate to see somebody, encumber a cost that was needless. And that's strictly personal opinion, but based on the facts that I've heard, it's fairly needless. And if that's what we're gonna do, and if that's how we're gonna start treating businesses for whatever reason, because like I said, this is a pattern of behavior towards this business, it's, losing paperwork, harassment, telling the business owner. I remember in 2009, Paul Guida came up with Tony Beauvais and Bill Clancy, and they tried to kick Brett Fritz out, who owns Archery Plus, because the property wasn't grandfathered, that was built. I mean, that was a whole fiasco, and I was a witness to that, so I've seen this go on before. And I'm not gonna be quiet about it at all.
Well,
But that's why I'm giving you gentlemen the courtesy of coming forward and bringing my concerns forward. And I'd like to see Mr. Gaudette start answering his phone, and Tony, I'd like to see you return the phone.
I didn't even know the gentleman called me. You leave me one message. You leave me one
Okay,
message.
all right. Well,
And that's
be
the
that-
God's honest truth.
Be that as it may. All right, I'm not gonna beat it that close, but thanks, guys, appreciate it.
Thanks, brother.
Take care.
Later, brothers.
any other citizens for comments? Communications? No, I didn't, other communications, no. New business, we have before us an application for auto dealer's license, so we will officially open the public hearing on a Class 2 auto dealer's license. An application by Gerardo Cifuentes, doing business as Fernandez Auto Sales, 17 Main Street, and, sorry, what's the time on my phone here? 6:21, that's the public hearing.
Mr. Chairman, I will recuse myself from this part.
I understand, Gary. So, Mr. Fuentes, would you like to come up and address your application? Hear any comments? I don't see anybody here, but we'll see what develops.
Hello, my name is Gerardo Cifuentes, and I live in 17 Main Street. I'm trying to put an online business, auto sales, and basically, if you guys approve the license, I'm gonna get memberships and corporate actions to get reposition cards. So, I have a mechanic in Worcester if something happens, because you have to give you, if the person buy a car from you, you have to give you 30 days to anything happen in the car, but basically I have my office in my house on a dealing online.
And your experience with the?
Yeah, I work for dealers in Texas and in Boston, like a salesman, and I'm just planning to go my own, because I have the time and I wanna do something like this.
And we have the paperwork in front of us, which is complete. It is an approved use, as you see from Mr. Clancy's signature. And there's be no storage, cars on site, no cars out on display.
Yeah, I have a car garage, a small car garage, parking car inside, used to have the idea of how to pay, but my plan is to get a bigger pay, somebody need to test and driving, but I'm gonna have insurance for that car, but basically I'm gonna have just one car until I sell, I'm gonna get another one, basically it's gonna be like that.
And you'll notice, on the zoning compliance verification came with your packet that, Mr. Clancy signed off on it, that single car in the garage for storage only. That was his concern, is that it would not be on display, and we didn't need to be concerned too much about what was being kept in the garage.
Mr. Chairman, on the zoning compliance verification, where it says type of license, class 2, et cetera, internet sales, it says no storage or car sales on site. This doesn't jive with what we're talking about here.
Excuse me, John, could I?
Please,
So
yeah.
yes, actually what that means is he can sell only in the office over the internet. So he can't do it, they physically can't come to the location to do sales.
Well, I gotta tell you,
Because we've done a number of them.
well, I wouldn't buy a car over the internet unless I could do what this gentleman just said I could do, which is test drive the car.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna, nobody in their right mind is gonna buy a car without, a used car in particular. A new one, maybe you might because you got a new car warranty and all that, but a used car, I would want to drive it. So I have concerns. I wanna be fair to this gentleman.
Mhm.
I don't wanna set him up for failure. I think and I don't have a problem with you storing a car in a garage and having someone come and driving it. I have no problem with that. But I don't know why Bill Clancy says here, no storage or car sales on site, when that's exactly what's going to happen. It does say one car in garage for storage only, but nevertheless, Mr. Fuentes has said he's gonna get a dealer plate, which is great, and he's gonna allow people to test drive the cars. And, I mean, anybody buying a car from somebody is gonna wanna drive it, a used car. It's common sense, so I think I have a little bit of a problem with this. I don't know if we have the authority to change this or not. I don't mind him doing what he wants to do. I think that's the way of life.
I don't look.
Yeah, I have a question for the, so I may have missed something. What is the general procedure when you go to your Worcester, are your cars in Worcester, or when you sign a car and you're gonna test drive
I'm
it?
gonna get a membership for a couple of auctions, they sell used requisition cars.
Mhm.
So basically, cars basically will have no mechanic problems. But if I need to fix it, I have a mechanic in Worcester to fix it. Because I went to a couple places in here, they don't give me no authorization to be here, so like, I asked them if they wanted to be my mechanic, but they say no, because I'm new, so nobody knows me. So, but the car is gonna be, like I say, in the garage, but the most of sales I did before, because I sell computers and the internet, and, and I offer up a lot of applications we have now in the internet, you can sell stuff. So they're gonna, if there's somebody is interested in the car, I'm gonna have the pay to get it test driving, and I'm gonna give you the 30 days guarantee, if anything happens, it's gonna be like that,
Right, I just want clarification on it, because without, after hearing that does have a contradiction. You're gonna have one car,
Makes a good point.
one car on a consistent basis.
Because
So the way it's been
they
done.
are
even
going
for
to his
the-
house to buy it.
Okay, so even at the rules and everywhere else, it was done through the internet only, so
Right.
that's why everyone else was doing it, and they have an office. But they don't have the
Office only, no vehicle
physically,
there, he's
correct.
having a vehicle there.
Yeah, he said he's gonna have a
He's
vehicle
gonna have a
there,
vehicle there.
stored.
So it's a different
Okay.
license at this
But
point.
that's when
No,
Mr.
it's not.
Clancy said he could have it in the garage, not out on the street, and not to be
No
sold.
show, no show in the car, just put it
He
inside
doesn't
and
want
plug
it
in the
on
garage.
display, so
Right,
that's what it is.
But it
So
doesn't
the
conform
no-
to the license.
This is the same thing we've done for all the other internet sales, I don't really know what.
The last one was a shipping only.
Yeah,
That was a
That
shit
they weren't even
But
going
then
to
we did
his house.
caboodles, you did caboodles the same way, so I'm not really sure.
There was no storage at the
There was no storage at all.
No storage.
He had no, at that site, he had no cars.
Oh,
on the
okay.
site.
So even inside the garage is where your concern is?
As much as he's coming to the
illegal.
site to.
Yeah,
buy
you cannot have a storage on the site with this license, you cannot do it. So
Not
they
the way
have to
it's written.
reapply
So
for a different
that's-
license.
Oh,
And show
so,
liability
for the-
and insurance coverage.
so if he didn't want the storage, then.
He would have to give up the storage on site.
Yeah, I see.
Sir,
Mr.
I
Hicks is
mean,
right.
the way this is, right now, you can't do what you wanna do, I feel bad. I mean, you could have it in Worcester, but you know, I don't know what kind of arrangement you have with the Franklin Auto Body, and I think it's Franklin Auto Body in
Yeah,
Worcester.
something like that.
I don't know what kind of arrangement you have with them, but, if it was there and you had your plate there, that would work, but you're telling us what you wanna do is have the car on site. I personally have no problem with that. You wanna have a dealer plate, so people can test drive it, I think that's fine, I have no problem with that. The only problem is that Mr. Clancy, when he filled out this zoning compliance verification, he clearly states no storage or car sales on site. I don't have a problem with you having one car there and selling it on site. I have no problem with that at all personally. But this permit's gonna have to change for that to happen.
I think it sounds like this, it's a slight.
I'm sorry.
Can I just add 2 cents, and I can probably clarify it?
All right,
He's residential village, it is not a commercial piece of property. Legally, you can store one unregistered car on your property, you can do it at your house, you can do it at your house. He cannot hold the dealer's plate in the state of Massachusetts unless he has an on-site facility with office space, with a place to show, display his card. So he wouldn't get a dealer's plate anyways.
this presents us a little different situation than the other internet.
It's the
sales.
same thing, it's just you cannot work out of a residential area.
Mr. Stevens, was the Hooter ever approved? I didn't think it was approved.
It was approved, it's
It
an
was
office.
approved.
No storage, internet sales permit.
Okay.
There's be no vehicles on
Okay.
his website. And a gentleman,
He said he was gonna be working on the restaurant location, and there'd be no cars.
Well, Tarek told me that, but Tarek also told me at one point, because I was a frequent customer at Kabul, I'm very sorry he's closed it, but Tarek told me at one point he wanted to keep a car or two in the back. And I guess you folks would let him do it, and that's what led to him closing the restaurant, which I hate to say it, but it kind of goes along with something that Mr. Service said a few minutes ago about us not being totally user-friendly to businesses in town.
Well, I don't know the details of his closing, but it does appear that we've got a different set of circumstances that we've.
If you, I can put the car in the Franklin's Auto Body, I can leave the car there. But I need a license to get in, to get, the membership to the auctions. That way I can get my cars to sell online.
Mhm.
It's gonna be the office here in my house. So the car I can put it there and, put it in my house. They wait it in, because the first plan I have is to put the cars in the front on my property, but he say no, cars in the front, no, I have no time to do it. So I can leave the car there, and you sell it online, they wait the paper say, to get the license.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I think something's gotta be done with this permit first.
We
And
can't,
if
we
it's
can't
not,
change
and if
our
it's
spot.
not if his house isn't zoned for business, then he's gonna get some sort of a zoning variance or something if it's possible to get. I don't know whether it is or isn't. So you got a couple of hurdles you're still gonna pass. You gotta go back and see Mr. Clancy, you gotta get this changed, and you gotta talk to the zoning board of appeals about granting you permission to do what you want to do. If you live in a residential area, that's what has to be done.
We need clarification from Mr. Kleinsick, and so he understands the circumstances here and how it, it appeared to be, contradictory here on the type of license being applied for and what the conditions were. So, Gary, you have something else you'd like to add?
He can operate an office only, he can't display. It's been done before in town, the guy out by me, Richie Turner, had an office only. Just can't display cars, have them out on the property for sale. But he can hold a license for an office only.
No storage, that seems to be the stumbling block. So we will need to
I mean,
have this changed and just to clarify to Mr. Kleinsick, and,
I was just gonna say, I'm so sorry, but if he's willing to give up the storage, could you prove it by amending it with no storage? I could do with that condition, so he doesn't have to come back, or do you
It still
want?
says, or car sales, and he's gonna sell the cars there. If I'm buying a car, I'm gonna go to his office, I'm assuming, hand him the money, and he's gonna hand me the title.
Okay,
Am I right? Yeah, so then, let's do it right.
okay.
And let them store their car there, I don't care, one car, it's not a big deal. Are there people in this town that have more than one car unregistered in their yard? They shouldn't, but they do. Now, it's not bothering anybody, I don't mind.
With, in Adam's absence, I'll personally reach out to Mr. Kleinsick so we can, so this doesn't, consume a lot of time, but I'm reluctant to make sort of multiple changes on the license. We just need to have this clarified and for you to, and for us to hear from you, what the storage plan for the vehicle you envision is going forward. And so, Brenda, do we have, the next meeting is a workshop meeting, that's the sort of thing that happens at a workshop meeting, right?
Unless you want to, it's up to you. If you
Make
wanted
a
to on Monday.
exception for.
Yeah.
So we can do that.
Expedite the
So I'll
process.
add it to that agenda and I'll
Yes.
fill out them in on
Yeah,
what's.
right, so let's not hold this ban up and
Yeah.
So can you come next
Yeah.
Monday, the
Of course.
20th?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we'll make an exception in hear this again. And to your credit, I know that you've talked to your neighbors, there's obviously no one here, protesting this use. But, Ralph brings up a good point, it seems to be, we seem to be dealing with some contradictions here. And we'll get that clarified and hopefully get you on your way, but we really need to do it.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
We're sorry for the delay.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Hold on, before we close the hearing.
Make
Don't
a motion to
close
continue the
it.
public hearing.
Oh,
Yeah, motion, yeah,
Thank you.
second.
All's in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, sir, we'll see you next month.
Take care.
Gerard.
Bye.
Is that go for two now? Okay, next item. We have a meeting, we have a discussion with Martha Berthium and Jason Manette. Please come forward here, new members of the Spencer East Brookwood Regional School District Committee. And glad to have them today. They reached out just to talk with us, to get some conversations going, all in the spirit of improving communications going forward. We're not about to set some policy or anything like that, but get to know, reach your session. So, Martha, we have you begin.
Yeah, so first of all, thank you for letting us join you tonight. It's funny because listening to Mr. Serber, I was thinking, it kind of reiterates the importance of the town working with the schools, because we have so many of the same concerns. You're concerned about businesses and people leaving the town, and obviously we're concerned about all the students that we're losing. So that's a common concern right there. So tonight, we really just wanted to sit with you, let you know we're here. We really want to have open communication. If anything comes up that you think we can help you with, our mutual concerns between the town and the schools. Mr. Stevens has, come to the meetings and come up with just some positive suggestions. I don't know if you've talked to them about it, such as displaying some of the kids' artwork in the town hall. We really need to start showing that we're working together. I think we all realize there's been a lot of negativity in the town, in the schools, and I think the only way we're gonna move forward if we can work together. Even the drug problem, obviously that is a school problem as well. Another thing that possibly the schools in the town could join forces to see if there's anything we can do together. So that's basically it. Just wanted to, say hello, and let you know that we're here. And please call, and, we are gonna try to keep you updated, as things happen in the school district. And we hope you do as well. Mr. Stevens had suggested that newsletters, be sent to all of the members on the board so that you know what's going on in the schools. And vice versa, if you think there's anything that we can share at our meetings that's going on in the town, we could make that happen. So really just trying to work better together than we have been.
Again, thank you very much for the invitation this evening. And again, Martha hit a lot of points on the head. We're in this to just bring this community back, together.
and get us all working together on the same page. And, you know, like Mr. Hicks was saying, he's lived in town his whole life, and as have I, only 33 years, but it was, I remember my younger years, it was awesome. And again, like Mr. Hicks says, I lower my head at times because of the things that have gone on, and we want to see things change. And that's one of the biggest reasons I got on the board, and I'm sure as well as Martha, you know, just to see this community come back together, everybody work together, and work as a team. And I think that's what we need, and I think that's what we're doing going forward here. And again, even onto the opioid crisis that we were talking about, even Martha just brought up the point of getting the school committee even involved in that. Bring back the DARE program, you know, these things that can make a huge difference. And you know, just moving forward. You know, the past is the past. Let's do this together, and that's what we're here to do. So, and again, I thank you for having us this evening.
You know, speaking of, what Ralph was saying about, exit interviews for, people leading our town, does the school district,
It's one of the
things like
things
that?
that I have on my agenda to bring forward soon.
We both know more
Yeah.
about the people who are leaving our sentence.
Yeah. Not only for students, but staff as well.
Mhm.
You know, we're losing more staff than we care to, and I think we need to know why and what we can do differently. If it's something, something that we're doing or not doing, we need to know, I don't think I'm not gonna blame, I'm not gonna say that kids are leaving the high school because they don't get a good education there, because, going to graduation, going to class day, going to the honor dinner that the Exchange Club puts on, we can see that we have some kids that are still doing great at Proudy. And that's another thing we want to start doing, is making sure people realize that out there, there's been so much negativity, and we want to start stressing that we have some great teachers, we have some great programs. Do they need improvements? Of course they do. But, when you see where some of our kids are going off to college, you know that we must be doing something right.
Mr. Chairman, a couple of things. You want a questionnaire for students and why they went to other school districts? I have one on my thumb drive that I did when I was superintendent. We had nowhere near the number of students going out then as we do now, but yet I felt it important enough to want to know why they were leaving. So rather than reinvent the wheel, if you want to see it, I've got it on a thumb drive. Let me know. The other thing is, I would find it most helpful, I don't know about the other members, if we could have emailed to us a number of your agenda when you meet. Even though I'm retired, I have a busy schedule between this and teaching classes at Worcester State and other things that I'm involved in the community. But if I could look at your agenda beforehand, and I could make a decision if it's something I need to go up on, and maybe get up and citizen input and speak, or just go there to hear the discussion. So if you could do that, I don't know how other people feel, but I would love to get the agenda of every meeting that you have so I can see it and decide if it's something I need to go up on.
It is on the district website, so that you know. No, it is.
It is on, I downloaded it myself, but.
Yeah.
Some things, I gotta, excuse me, John, I gotta tell you,
Yeah,
I was there looking for the budget, well after it should have been on there, and it wasn't on there. And I got a little upset, and Gary knows, as I talked to him about it.
yeah.
I said, Gary, this should have been up months ago. We were getting closer to town meeting, and it still wasn't there, so
Yeah.
if it's on your website, fine, but if it isn't, you're gonna hear from me.
No, it should be, Ralph, because we no longer, because we're a regional district, we no longer post in the town halls. We do all of our posting on the website. But I was going to ask Brenda if she could send us all of your email addresses so that, if something comes up that we want you to be aware of.
Through the chair, on that point, Ralph, when I got involved in the new website, one of the selling points was that you could subscribe to areas that were of interest to you, and information would be pushed out to your individual emails. And, everything's tight around here, but that's something I was very interested in when we first went with the new system.
Great.
So, I mean, it's something we should look into. Not only is this good timing for these folks, but they're interested in the solar, building reuse, all that stuff, they get information pushed to them, so. But
On the district website, school committee is one of the, topics at the top. I think it's over on the far right, and you just click on that and go down and you'll find minutes, agendas. And I know our agenda for tomorrow night is on there. Yeah.
through the chair, we have, the boards I have been involved in have always tried to create a good working relationship with the school committee. And one area that I've continuously pounded on our board and the administration, several administrations that we've had, and we started when we worked together on capital, Ralph, was that we somehow get, so we can help you possibly in any financial way we can, was get you involved in, through Ralph, as a bridge to our capital program, which I'm involved in. I think you deserve a seat at the table when we do our capital
And Jason is going to be the one who's on the.
So I've been, the forms are with your controller. And Ralph's gonna be talking to you in the near future about getting involved in capital needs. I think wherever we can bring the walls down, we should do that. And capital is definitely one of them.
Amen.
I'd like to help you in where possible. I mean, we're not, we hide nothing here, so we know how things are tight, but if we can help, that may be one way we can help, so.
When do you have any concerns for us tonight, or?
I actually have one.
Okay.
The Little League parade, I think that was a big mistake, not letting it out of high school.
I've already
Something
talked to the
we've done since I was-
superintendent about that, and she
Since I was a
seemed,
little kid, yeah.
yeah, she was surprised by that when I told her that we're no longer doing it.
Who put the kibosh to it, do you know?
I'm
It
not
was,
sure.
I think it was an insurance policy issue.
Yeah, I did bring that forth the last subcommittee meeting for the policies, and that is one of my concerns, and it's actually one of my big concerns that I have on, actually it was gonna be on the agenda for this week for upcoming agenda topics, was letting the community use these facilities, the high school, Wire Village, and like you said, Little League, they can't even use Wire Village because of the insurance policies, it's like a $4 million insurance, who needs a $4 million insurance policy? I'm sorry. Supposedly what I heard is they have a $2 million insurance policy. That should be more than enough. These are taxpayers. They should have every right to be using these facilities.
Right.
Every right. And that's a big thing that I really want to see changed. And I'm sure Dr. Crowe will be hearing from me about that, because that's putting a wall up between the school district and the community.
You're absolutely right, to the chair. I mean, I grew up in Worcester using all the gyms. And I did, after graduation, I mentioned that to her as well.
Yeah.
I was like, you know what, not only that, if it's successful, it could be a minor income stream for you guys as well.
Well, some of the fees I hear are pretty ridiculous too.
Yeah, I mean, we can be reasonable.
I hear they're pretty high, and I know that from back when I was helping out with the running camp with Byron Dean, and he was even saying that this year he got killed on insurance and fees to use the facility. We're bringing people to the facilities to use them. I mean, this is a positive thing. We shouldn't be hammering these people to use it. They're already paying their taxes and their fair share to have that right. So that is something definitely I really want to see changed.
And I did talk to her about it also, Chris, on a one-on-one, and like I said, she seemed a little bit surprised. I'm not sure if she wasn't aware of it. She said there was a request, I don't know if you know what it was, Jay, but it had something to do with a bunch of motorcycles that used to meet there. I'm not sure if it was some kind of a rally, and I said, well, no, I can understand that that would be a concern, but Little League, and again, it like Jason said, we want our, well, it kind of goes hand in hand also with what we were talking about earlier. We want our kids to be as active and positive things as we can. We want to keep our kids busy. We want to encourage them to be active in sports, Cub Scouts, Boy Scouts, whatever. The busier they are, the better. And all these things some of these decisions that have been made, I just think lead to problems down the road. So it is definitely something that we'll be looking into further.
Chair,
Go ahead, Gary.
I will say, and I appreciate hearing it come out tonight, because the motorcycle rally had been done out there forever. That was the veterans. One of the reasons I know it was the last minute, and I moved all the cars, and they came out of our parking lot. For T-ball, Jay went up to fix the field. For us, it was an easy decision on my part to open that field up, because it prevents more damage to our buildings. And I would think that, and I'm glad to hear that, because I think it's important from the board side here and from your board side, is if we don't start working together, it's gonna continue to fall apart. So I'm glad to hear all that. I hope it comes full circle. It's not easy, we know.
No,
But I do appreciate that,
we
because I think
keep
it's
saying we're
important.
taking baby steps right now, but we've already seen some positive things changing and.
Well, the fact of the matter is, nothing, and we've been saying around, nothing's gonna change overnight.
Never done.
But something like that, to open up the facility use for community again, if you were to do that, I don't believe that's gonna take too much to do. That's gonna make a world of difference. The community's gonna be more involved now. And it's changes like that that I believe will make a huge difference overall. And then it's a snowball effect in a positive direction. So.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, a couple of things, was, do they still let the ham radio operators go up to the top of the hill and do their thing every year that they've been doing since?
No, I heard they stopped that as well.
I mean, I gotta tell you, this is the type of stuff that ticks people off.
I agree.
And I don't think, and frankly, if I were superintendent still, I wouldn't mind the motorcycles leaving from there. Every motorcycle has its own insurance policy. They're veterans who served our country. I mean, for heaven's sake,
I didn't even realize they were veterans, I didn't.
even if they weren't, most people that ride motorcycles are very responsible. I think a lot of motorcyclists got a bum rap, between you and me. I know a lot of very well-educated, hard-working American citizens who ride motorcycles who, people see them and I don't know what they think. I think everybody's a gang or something. They're not. We've got to be more inclusive in town, and that includes the school district as well. And if somebody up there saying no, I don't know who it might be, that person needs to be directed to stop saying no. If they continue to, that person needs to have it noted in their evaluation, put on an improvement plan. If they don't straighten up, send them out the door. I don't care how long their contract's for either, because legally you can do it.
I agree.
I'm sick of hearing that the schools aren't being used by our citizens who pay to build them. I know it's not your fault, so I preach to the choir. I know, but I'm telling you, if it doesn't, I will be up at your meeting screaming if things don't change. I will be.
Through the chair, since Friday, I think you guys having peer leaders at Warrior Village go out with the church.
I haven't talked to anybody about that this year.
That's a
Yep.
good thing, my son was a peer leader,
Yep.
he is involved in that. When I went to school, a long time ago, it used to be the 7th and 8th grade class at the junior high, we used to meet there in conjunction with the church.
Mhm.
More people went out than just the peer leaders. Maybe reinstitute that.
Oh, so
As part of
they
like
haven't been
customer.
doing that?
They do the Pride Day, but it's
Okay.
only peer leaders from the
Oh,
school
okay.
currently at Warrior
Okay.
Village.
Okay.
For me, it was 2 grades.
Yeah.
Also, Ray Martinez has a company called Everfly.
They use it.
You use it, but he would like to get more involved within the school.
Oh, okay.
So just reach out to
I
him.
know Ray.
Reach out to him.
Okay.
Facebook, I can give you his contact information. He's got kindergarten programs all the way through grade 12, and that is at no cost to the schools.
Thank you.
Through the chair, one more question. There have been some positive things happening. Last year, a plan was brought, education plan was brought in front of us. That was the first, it was nice to see a plan. It was a 3 or 5 year plan. I hope you guys can refine that, and if possible, assign what it's costing you to go in that direction.
Okay.
Because I think this town is fair when they have a clear understanding of where the
What they're
needs
getting
are,
for their money.
what they're getting for their money, where it's going. I used to think it may eliminate an artificial barrier for you. these cycles. As
When
we
did
know,
you get that? Was it last year? Did you?
yeah, Dr. Crow came into play, and plans can always be refined and changed, but if it's, just like I said, the day I came on this board, that we should run this a little bit more like a business, and, you know, educating our kids is our goal, but from your perspective, it may be putting those plans together would be helpful.
I haven't seen the plans, so we'll have to ask for it.
It was really, it was all about how those goals are driving the budget, and so
Right.
you justify the expenses and, connect programs and
Right.
goals to what we're spending, instead of just dealing with, lump sums and wondering where it's all going. And
It'd
we,
be nice to see the results too.
and it works on the town side as well. As Tony said, Spencer made a reputation of being kind of cheap, but I think people are just demanding. They just really want accountability.
Right.
And I think, despite the size of that exclusion, I think you credit the success to the explanation, to the, to the rationale behind those numbers and what it was
Communication.
accomplished. Yeah.
And I think
yes.
historically, Dr. Hicks, I think will agree with this, historically, up until, real recent past, people in town support our schools. We've built some beautiful schools.
Yes, first time, first votes.
Yeah, so we can't blame, the taxpayers, that they've had reason to question some things in the last few years. Honestly, there are times that I don't think I would have voted for an override, had they needed one, because there were too many unanswered questions.
You don't know where your money's going. That's-
So I agree, I think people in Spencer and East Brookfield, they are there for the kids, but they wanna know, what they're getting for their money.
Yeah, to the chair, you were an important consideration for that last request as well. We didn't want to cripple anybody else who had, we could have asked for $34 million, but we didn't want to cripple any other departments that may need, important funding
Right,
in the near future. So, you were a major consideration. So.
thank you.
And just to reiterate on another point, I sound like a broken record sometimes, especially with Martha, because
No.
we're always talking. But on back onto the point of school choice and these kids' school choicing out is, I have ideas of working to try to keep them in our district. And I don't see a new school in the future anytime soon. You'd love to. And I think it would be great, but let's be realistic here, I don't see it happening right now. So how can we move forward with what we have and adapt? I think we gotta bring back a lot of the elective classes. And I'm sure maybe some of you heard me say that. I mean, that you go in the private, there's no more wood shop there. That wood shop was awesome, that kept me in school. Well, my father would've given me that too if I didn't, but, I went to school every day looking forward to that class with Mr. Fern. I mean, that was a great class. They had the metal class, they had the plastics class, they had theater arts. I can give you a handful of classes that are no longer there. I mean, and then, even the whole show choir thing that went on. These are the things that kids are seeing and saying, I'm headed to Pasco, or I'm headed to Auburn. There's no incentive anymore for a student to stay at the private.
You're absolutely correct.
And that's what we have to bring back, and I think we have to really start talking about that, and it's, I know we do, but sometimes it happens, we just kind of beat around the bush. No, this is gonna happen. We gotta act on it, and we gotta act on it quickly, or they're just gonna keep going out the door.
Right, I believe you're absolutely right, and this is something that going back to the new building project that was, a couple of years ago. And my questions were, will this give us an opportunity to transform the curriculum? Not only do you want to bring back stuff that will retain you, but you also want to create programs that will help your students, like HTML coding or something, get into technology a little bit more. So you're absolutely correct.
I mean, we're in Spencer, Massachusetts here.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
I work with my hands every day of the week.
Yeah.
That's what I do, that's what I love. And there's a lot of kids still in this town that's what they love to do. They love working with their hands. They may not be as book savvy as some, but, they want to go to school, and not everybody gets into Bay Path, and that's what everybody forgets, is not every one of these kids are getting into Bay Path. So if they can't get into Bay Path, they're gonna go next door to Tantascwa if they can get in.
If they can't get there, they're gonna look somewhere else. Why not have them look back at us and say, oh, well, Proudy's a wood shop, I might as well go back there, you know? To me, it's, a lot of it's common sense, and I just, and maybe, you know, maybe I'm all wet, but I feel like that'd be a good direction.
It's a, you know, to that point of you know, recognizing the realities, it really, the points you're bringing up, Jason, sound a lot like our early discussions on Economic Development Committee, where we said, you know, these are all things we'd like to change, but what can we do right away? You know, what's the biggest bang for the smallest buck? You know, what's the low hanging fruit? You know, what can we do to really change the look? And that's where our committee started. It does start small, it is small steps, but it does change that perception. And as far as perception goes, you know, Bob Serpa went through a list of things, not time to address them all, and it's not the place for them, but I think what it says is when, you know, people look from the outside and an impression is made up of many things. They don't say, this is a school issue, this is a town issue. They just say, you know, what Spencer got, you know, what's got going for it, you know, and you, to the point of Little League and facilities, it's that sense of community that Gary's always talking about. That's that part of that overall impression. I was saying, oh gee, we understand they've got a liability problem. Well, that's not gonna make you move here, right? It's not gonna make you invest in it.
And to your point, I mean, I believe one of your biggest economic driving forces in town is your school system. Because you bring people into the town to a good school system. Nobody's looking to come to Spencer right now. Because of the shape of the district's in, the negative cloud, don't get me wrong, there are some positive things, but there's just a big negative cloud, and we reverse that, you know, you're gonna have more home buyers coming in to look to move to Spencer. I know 2 people right now offhand that are gonna be buying in Spencer because of, not because of Martha and I, but because of the way they see things happening now. They see a change in the committee, they see a change, they're seeing things now, and that's just a small example, but it'll get there. It'll get there. I have a lot of faith in a lot of part of that.
You know, it didn't happen overnight, and it's not
No,
gonna get better overnight.
It's not gonna get better overnight, but.
But, you know, we're just trying to move forward in a positive way, and hopefully we can do it with the town, you know, because I think we're gonna be stronger as a group.
And as far as, you know, formal communications, I'm formally speaking, I'm the liaison with the school committee, but more than any other body, you're likely to see other selectmen there who are, you know, with no, you know, formal reporting experience of the responsibilities to the board. It's just because we really want to know what's going on, and we want to be able to, you know, to talk positively and explain things, and to, you know, nip some of the rumors in the bud.
And a lot of it is rumor, as we all know.
You can get away from us
Right.
quickly.
Well, thank you, and please feel free again to.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be open,
Chris?
I'd be open to like having like students and maybe a senior center coincide and get together for meals for seniors, either at our senior center or something like that, and get the schools involved.
We have art displayed there now.
Yeah, we do have art. I would like maybe art just displayed up in the town hall.
Yep.
Maybe have dances at concerts with band members.
Yeah.
And definitely use our facilities.
And it's those small things are what make, they make a huge change over a small one.
And I understand where you're coming from, because to you, Spencer's a great town, because we grew up here. And if people could see Spencer through our eyes as children, and as we grew up, people would love this town.
Right.
So that's what you're here fighting for.
And just so you guys know, when we opened up the senior center, everybody says the senior center, but we took a kind of rundown school. If you haven't been there, you should see it, it came out beautiful. We call it the Spencer Senior Center Community Center. Dance Techniques did a dance program there, there was over 200 people that night.
Right.
So, you know,
It's not just the seniors.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and that's kind of the key why we did what we did. I know the charter school was brought, that you and I talked about it. You know, we offered that
Well,
building.
collaborative.
Rather, we offered that building at no charge. So we're trying to get involved as much as we can. But I think if the communication stays open this time, nicely, without people getting a little thick-headed and too proud to ask, I think we'll get a long way.
I think so.
So, I appreciate you coming in. I think it's important to the town that this happens.
Well, I swear this is the last question. The volunteerism program that I knew existed a few years ago, is there any interest in getting that back?
That was something, from what I understand, and I haven't spoken with the superintendent about it, but it was, again, it became an issue about the Cory checks, the fingerprinting.
Correct.
I know.
Small potatoes,
I
That
know,
is
but
correct.
it,
You're right, Mark.
Right.
laziness,
but
in my
I,
opinion.
but I definitely would like to see that, and, you know, and going back to the seniors, I've had this conversation with the superintendent. You know, I think our seniors bring so much to the community, and I would love to see them get more involved in the schools, so again, so that they can see, you know, what we're doing in the schools, and, you know, and who has more to offer. You know, a lot of these kids that we have, you know, they don't get the support that our children get or got when they were growing up. And, you know, just to have people go into the schools and the after-school program and read to the kids, you know, an elderly person reading to the children, or teaching them some hobby or some skill that they have.
Right.
You know, those are the kind of things that I would love to see, and I think it would be good not only for the children, but for the senior population as well.
And just to follow that up, because now, you know, and some of the board members know, is grandparents tend to become the parents of their grandchildren because of certain times we live in.
Yep.
So I think it's important that people realize that they take a more active role in inputting with it.
Right.
So that's the important part that we gotta look at.
I would also love to see, if the class size is right, I would see the kids graduate in town hall and a little nicer,
Used to be done that way.
yeah, nicer facility, if there's enough room.
Yeah.
I know everyone brings everyone their relatives, these things, but, you know, I just, when they had Mechanics Hall for a couple of years, it was a nice event. It'd be nice to give the kids something.
They used to have proms and everything.
My junior prom was here.
Yeah.
We're
We're aging ourselves.
it's at your disposal. Anytime if you think of something you need,
But no,
you let us know.
again, those are the kind of things
Yeah.
that kind of tie the town with the schools, you know?
Well, if you have fun.
The only thing I was gonna say is when Jason was talking about programming, I mean, once we do get SB, School Building Assistance Bureau approval on construction, I wanna seriously look at maybe getting another, we have one Chapter 74 program at the high school now, distributed that. I'd like to get at least another one, and maybe even a second one. It's gonna be something that Bay Path doesn't offer. You can't compete with your own Hope School, but I'd like to see that, for the same
Now-
reason you said, to give kids options that they can't get anywhere else, and kids who are gonna work with their hands, and most of whom, hopefully will go out and then practice that trade for the next 40 or 50 years. You know, because not everybody goes to college, not everybody should go to college. So that's on my radar, I just want you to know that as chairman of the building committee.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for
Thank you,
coming.
Chairman. Thank you very much.
Take care, have a good evening.
Thank you. All right, now. Board liaison reports, you received the list of liaison assignments, and there's some clarification needed, but we're gonna go forward with those new 2017 assignments. One thing that I think I would like to urge you to do, and just in the spirit of improving communications overall among our departments as well as, you know, with the schools, is, you know, with those assignments, this is something I never did, so it's not a matter of doing what I do, it's doing what I'm gonna do myself. And that is, if you haven't in the past, make contact with the chair of that commission or that committee that you're serving as a formal liaison with. It's not necessary to attend all their meetings. In fact, given the schedule, it's just impossible to get to every one of those liaison meetings that you were supposed to be responsible for. But you know, just try and get some good communication going with the chair of your commission or board or department, so that issues come up, they have a way to bring them up, and you have a way of helping introduce them here. I'm not talking about short-circuiting the process that Adam had established with his departments and all. But this is just another avenue for us so that we can, you know, fulfill our role in policy and direction and guidance for the town. But do reach out to them and you know, find out what the issues are, and so that you're familiar with their issues. And I'd say when it comes to times of the year, especially with committees, departments that have a budget, and especially set rates like water and sewer, you know, it's a good idea to know, you know, what's coming up with the rate structure and all, so that we're not surprised by it, and we have answers for it and the rationale. So I urge all of us to just get a little more active there, and I'd like to, you know, see a little bit more in the way of board liaison reports in the coming years, so that we can, this is a great opportunity just to bring the community up to date as well on what's going on. And you can attend them when you can. So any more questions about those liaison assignments? There's a lot to keep track of, there's a lot going on. Citizen input, another opportunity for citizens? Okay, last, board member, staff comments, board member comments?
Through the chair, I'd like to schedule, Brenda, when Adam returns, to tell him that you know, at least I would like to look to actually schedule that hearing with the police department. Yeah, so I just want to make sure that gets done, and we'll work within this confines to meet with.
I have reached out to the chief for his own back.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to attend that too, if you let me know when you're doing that.
The important thing is that there is a lot of discussion going on. I think it's part of what our communication with the public is, even when we don't have a formal decision or a formal plan, to let people know we're working on it, at the very least, so that it's not being neglected in our community.
Through the chair, I'm going to try, I was out there and a few citizens had a laugh at my expense. I was out in front trying to fill some holes in the lawn with some easy seed, and yeah, and I had a few toots and some laughs at my expense at the bazaar this weekend. So I'm going to go back Saturday if anyone would like to join. I would like to. Is it all right if I reach out to, or you could reach out to Evan to see if we can have some
Seed?
No, I don't know, well, if we have seed, that'd be great too, but,
I did reach out to him, just so you know, the stuff he has is no good, but, we use some of the credits because they do have credits. John used some of them.
Yes.
He's gonna give me a count on what's left, and maybe able to get a little bit of real mount.
yeah, okay.
So I should have an answer this week, I did do that. So as soon as I know, I'll let you know.
Yeah, I think I'll go back to
If
easy,
not,
so,
I will donate some mulch, a couple bags, 3, 4, whatever it takes.
yeah, and I'll pick up some more easy seed to, I got a huge bag, and I got in front of the building, and it didn't even do half of one side. And I was picking up dust, it was like blowing dust on me, it's like, okay, but I can't, that's another thing I'd like to check out. Adam says the irrigation system's working. Has anyone seen it on at 5 o'clock in the morning, working?
I think the time is still out. I'll show you where it is.
Okay, I'd like to make sure that's on, because we're just laying dirt,
Yeah,
dry
I
dirt.
did go check it, so I'll
So I-
follow up with that and let you know.
So I guess I'd have to try to get here about 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock.
That's
Can
Saturday.
we
Okay.
post that, since it's gonna be on more than one side?
I think, just to be safe.
Good
I
idea.
I have to post
Yeah,
it when-
post it.
Good idea. I'm glad you brought that up, Tony. It was my just concluding comment. I've received comments, I hope you have too, about the look of the town hall, of the Sugden block, of Main Street. And to a lot of people's credit, you know, the new lights, Gary worked hard to get those lights up there. One of the first things people said, God, they really look fabulous. And when the new banners, you know, Wendy and her crew with their, you know, working through the Exchange Club and Emergence, we've got new banners, we got flags, and with personal contributions from the selectmen, we have flowers and planted and planters made at Bay Path, which will be returning year after year and hopefully growing in number. You know, Wendy helped me a lot with trying to get the flowers going, and Tina Bemis, gave us, a discount on filling those, and gave us the flowers, and I think we talk about little things, but I think it's a very positive impression. I think it's, now we have to, just like everything else, when we invest money and energy, we have to have a maintenance plan, so I'm going to, plan to keep them watered and all those, and do all the deadheading so they stay nice and bright, but I'm sure you're hearing comments, but I thought it was a great choice of flowers.
It all looks good, and I have to just mention, thank Tony Toscano for the use of his truck to
Oh,
get the
great.
banners up and the flags up. It saved, I wasn't gonna climb the pole, I can promise you that. So I mind the bucket a little bit.
I'd have been there with
Yeah, right.
and I have a net, Chris and I'd be there with the nets.
But that's the type of community spirit that helps.
Also, if there's any business owners out there or anyone on Main Street that would like maybe some of those plots, contact myself and John Stevens, and we can definitely get those to you at the minimum cost.
Although I will say, given the fact that the school year day pass is over, they've got a few left, we could probably get a few out there, but my plan, I hope, was we get this look established, we get people excited, and we come up with a bigger plan next year with a formal plan, because as it gets bigger, it's more to water and more to coordinate, but I'm hoping people notice them and they find it's a real bright spot on Main Street.
Mr. Chairman, a very important question, Mr. Pepe. What color mulch do you want?
I think red would look good, red.
I was
red.
thinking like a red.
You want these Saturday morning?
Yeah, I just come by and drop a bag in the driveway and,
I'll bring some up Saturday morning. You gonna be up here?
yeah,
I'll bring you some up Saturday morning.
great. Mr. Chair, in addition, I'd also like to congratulate Mary Queen of Rosie on another fine International Bazaar. Weather didn't cooperate 100%, but I spent the evening with Dr. Hicks, and we had a good old time.
Yeah,
Another,
We have great parking police presence there.
thank you.
yeah.
Well, we know it's a private nonprofit affair with the church, but it's so worked into the fabric of this community, it almost feels like it's a, town event that's been going on for decades. So
Yeah, I mean,
that's brought it up.
you're right, but it draws from the entire
Mhm.
community, so it is in my opinion, it's a community event, and anytime someone has a successful event like that, they should be applauded for it.
Here, here.
And I think it just underscores the important role of nonprofits in our community. I had a nice chat at our abbreviated Memorial Day presentation at American Legion on the rain, but talking with Reverend Wildman and just talking about just increasing the role of our churches on Main Street. I mean, we talk about all the issues that challenge us. It requires a spiritual foundation, a spiritual treatment of the family, and it's bigger than the town, bigger than any government agency. So it's one thing I would personally like to do. I said, I guess he's due to move on, but I said, let's talk first so that we can, just talk about, ways in which I can work with some understanding committees that are invested in the community, like the Friendship Project, so.
Yes.
Well, Tony and I are gonna see to it that it continues next year.
right, that's right.
Father Jim's retiring, which he's earned, and I publicly want to thank Father Jim for 20 years of service, not just to the Catholics in this town, but to the community. His role, for example, in running the food bank for Spencer and East Brookfield has been very effective. A lot of folks have not had to go to bed hungry because of the efforts of that food pantry that Father Jim has so much to do with. So I want to publicly thank Father Jim and wish him a very long and very, very happy retirement.
Absolutely, here, here.
Yeah.
To that point as well, I mean, this town is another area that we're at a crossroads at. We've leadership is not only political or someone who runs a company, it's also, the spiritual base of this town. And we've had one organization close and a prominent retirement, and another church is looking for another leader. So wish them all the luck in these organizations and the changes they're incurring right now. I wish them the best of luck. I hope everything works out for all those organizations.
Yes.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay,
Second.
all's in favor?
Aye.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, all.